coming out of Unrivaled. We're coming right back into the W season. Where's your excitement for the W? We were excited for Unrivaled, and it was a nice little supplementary piece while we didn't have the W, but give me a number.
So 2 things happened. A number, a level 10 Gyat. No.
You're so stupid.
Welcome back, everybody. We've had an amazing week. We're fresh off of South by Southwest. We had a great show. I'm sure you guys heard wonderful interviews with Nikki and Gabby. We were able to take some time off, took a little vacation. That's why you see the fresh tans. I was basically on the Rapinoe family vacation, if I'm being honest.
You were.
Mammers and Jim joined us. We had a wonderful time. I did find out that Mammers is a corn tortilla girl. I mean, she is gluten-free, so it makes sense. But
everybody in the whole world knows she's gluten-free.
But when we got there, when we first got there, we got, they walk you around and they show you everything. I caught her when we got to the part where somebody makes fresh tortillas in the morning. She was very excited about this, and then immediately turned to the person taking us around and was like, corn. You got corn, right? It's like, yes, Mammers, we've got corn. Everything's going to be okay. It was very sweet. And your dad, he took that welcome drink to the head, got a little tahini on his forehead. It started out great. Yeah. I had a great time.
It started out great. Yeah. I mean, it's normal to get a little tahini in the side. It's like salt
the forehead's
on your
a little unprecedented, but.
Yeah. He was getting every last drop, as we all were. I love it. Back to the real world, which is very exciting. Women's sports is popping off. It's basically Christmas Eve. We're also going to talk about, Sue is going to talk about the greatest college women's basketball players of all time. Then I'll base my opinion on basically Sue's opinion. And we're going to get into all that's happening right now.
All month long, Paramount Plus celebrates Women Who Move Mountains, a special collection of series and movies spotlighting remarkable women's stories and talents in front of and behind the camera. Need a laugh? Check out comedy favorites like After Midnight, hosted by Taylor Tomlinson, as well as hit CBS comedies Elsbeth, starring Carrie Preston, and Ghosts, starring Rose McIver, all streaming on Paramount Plus. Head to ParamountPlus.com to learn more about Women Who Move Mountains. Support for A Touch More comes from our friends at Nike. March Madness is here. While the men's tournament always draws massive attention, the 2025 women's bracket is shaping up to be historic. Because on the court and on the field, we live to challenge, to dominate, to win. It's even sweeter when it's against the odds. Featuring athletes like Juju Watkins, Paige Beckers, Sophia Wilson, and Mallory Swanson, Nike's new So Win campaign celebrates the athletes who break the rules and unapologetically strive for greatness. Later in the episode, we'll listen to the campaign and share our So Win moments. Go to Nike.com to learn more and see their So Win collection.
All right, Sue. Let's dive right into the check-in. It's Christmas Eve. We've got the NWSL starting. We've got Unrivaled, who crowned its first and inaugural champion. March Madness is kicking off. The WNBA season is right around the corner. Are you as excited as I am?
Obviously.
Okay.
Obviously. It's more like, for me, it's more like candy store vibes. I've just been plopped into women's sports Candyland. Yeah.
Yeah. Your bag is getting filled.
Yeah. I can't keep up. And we were flying during the selection show, during the semifinals of Unrivaled. The way I was, listen, I know you're not supposed to stream on the Wi-Fi, but your girl was streaming. I was all up in there.
I did. We weren't able to sit together. It's a rare occasion, but we weren't able to switch on the plane. And I looked over and you had a motherboard of electronics going on and all of them were firing at full capacity.
I was buffering my face off. I was exiting. Really I was entering. I was buffering. It was, Oof.
All right.
It was intense.
I want to start with the brackets. How are you feeling about the tournament? How are you feeling about the brackets? How are you feeling about the seedings? Break it down for us.
I mean, they are what they are. I don't really have, I'm more going to react to people's reactions. I don't have some unique thought around it. I did think it was funny how every single, two in particular one seeds, Dawn and Lindsay, were not happy. I thought that was hilarious just because it's like, you're the 1 seed. Like, what's the big deal? So that was really funny, kind of just seeing all the different coaches' reactions, seeing some of the players' reactions. Obviously, Juju went viral a little bit because she was just kind of like, okay, cool. Like literally no reaction. I don't know if she was, I don't know if she was feeling how Lindsay was feeling, feeling a little slighted. So just for those that didn't check it out, Dawn, who is technically, South Carolina was technically the number 1 seed, felt slighted that they weren't the number one seed. Lindsay Gottlieb, and we'll get to why in literally 5 seconds, felt slighted that she was considered the number 1 seed. Why? One could make the argument that it's because UConn and USC are going to meet, hopefully, if they get there, in the Elite Eight. So the only reaction I really have, and this is not as a UConn fan, my UConn bias will come in later. I will acknowledge it and own it. Not as a UConn fan.
It'll be in full force.
I think as a women's basketball fan, as a women's basketball aficionado, somebody who wants the business to grow, you want Juju and Paige both in the Final Four. So what the committee did, and a lot of people have talked about this, was take away that opportunity, like period, point blank, no way around it. We will not have both of them in the Final Four. And that is a crime. Now, it does bring the question, how much should that be considered? When you're in that committee room, how much should they be talking about the names and who they want? And I get it. At some point, it's got to be purely about schedule, purely about wins and losses, purely about, seeding the teams in the right way. But I don't know, like, can you kind of take it into consideration? Like, wouldn't that be good for everybody? So I kind of get why Lindsay had that reaction. I think for Coach Auriemma and UConn, they're probably like, all right, like we're the number 1, number 2 seed. This is what it is. Like, sure, they probably feel, who knows what they feel, but they're like, all right, cool. The only thing that sucks is they all have to go to Spokane. I'm just going to listen. We're in the state of Washington right now. It's not great. It's not great. Especially with what happened last year with some of the harassment and racial slurs. Like, it's not great. Really not bad, though, for the UConn fans. So that was really like my only thing. I think I wonder if Dawn doesn't kind of sit down with the bracket, or if she hasn't already sat down with the bracket and been like, okay, yeah, I'm not the number one, but I don't have to see UCLA. I don't have to see USC, and I don't have to see UConn until the final. Now, she's got other things to worry about on her side of things, but I wouldn't be surprised if that settled in a little bit. I think the only thing I think of when I look at this bracket, it's really like you zoom out and you're realizing just how difficult of a bracket this is to pick. This is probably in the last, who knows, maybe ever. This is probably the most challenging bracket when I've sat down and looked at all the matchups, who's going to win, it's been really, and that's because there's been so much parity. It's really hard. Like, is Notre Dame the team we saw in, whatever it was, January, or the team that we saw the last couple weeks of their season? Same thing for Texas. Same thing for USC. It's like for everybody, you don't know. And that's what's exciting. So what I did think, though, was this is also one of the first times we've seen really dominant scorers, like multiple dominant scorers, make the tournament. So the first question I had was, is this going to be the tournament of dominant scorers who carry their teams far? We've only seen it rare occasions. The first one that comes to mind, it's because it was during my time, was Jackie Stiles. Dominant scorer, carried, Southwest Missouri State to a Final Four, unprecedented. You didn't really see it. And there really hasn't been that many. So I'm wondering, right? And the three that come to mind, Harmony Turner out of Harvard. She's been absolutely killing it. They're a 10 seed. They play Michigan State, a 7 seed. That's like a matchup that's going to be a clash of styles. Harvard likes to slow it down a bit. So they play a slower pace, but they have an elite scorer. So is that an upset in the making? Florida State, they've got Tanita Latson. Can she carry them? I think that's something to keep your eye on. If they and LSU make it to the second round, could they upset LSU? That's, of course, because we don't know Anisha Morrow's status, Flage's status. So there's a lot of question marks there. And then last but not least,
Michaela Blake's had 55 recently out of Vanderbilt. I mean, these are players who are really putting up huge numbers. So can they get hot? Can they carry teams? So that brings us to the Togethxr Bracket Challenge. Megan and I are going to be doing a shared bracket. You can compete against us if you dare. You can find that link in our show notes. But first, Megan, tell everybody who we've got in our Final Four.
Okay. The big reveal. I'm surprised that ESPN didn't give us a slot to reveal our Final Four. Okay. Coming out of the Spokane region, we've got UCLA and UConn. And then I feel like in parentheses under UConn is USC, because Sue, for her safety reasons, has to pick UConn.
And this is where the bias shows itself.
This is where the bias kicks in.
I'm cheering for my team.
I know. So we have to pick UConn, obviously, and we believe in them. But, if USC goes, then that feels like my pick also.
Listen, I'm not going to lie, okay?
I'm buffering.
Do I want to see UCLA and USC play against each other for the 4th time this year in the Final Four? Do I want that storyline? I mean, I just bagged on the committee for not thinking about storylines. There's a part of me that wants that storyline, but not more than my own safety. So UConn's in the Final Four.
Yeah, UConn's in the Final Four. UCLA, UConn. And then on the other side, we've got, I don't even know what region it is because our printer cut the thing off. South Carolina versus Notre Dame.
Megan, by the way, insisted on printing it and insisted on handwriting it in.
Handwriting it in.
And
like,
I made there's a
so
way
many
to just
mistakes.
Click the dots and print after that, but here we are. So many mistakes.
I feel like it's, there's something nostalgic about like going through it and writing it in and deliberating. So yeah, South Carolina and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then we obviously have UConn winning the championship. We've got South Carolina and UConn in the final, and UConn is going to win. And Paige Beckers is going to ride off into glory, right into Dallas to start her WNBA career. Thoughts?
There it is. There it is. Well, we did it together.
Or Dawn's going to win her 4th in 5 years or 3rd in 4 years. Yeah. We don't know. But that's who we have.
Yeah. And there are a couple of, there was a couple picks in our bracket that we had some upsets going. I already talked about Harvard, Florida State, but let's jump ahead to Vanderbilt. So if Vanderbilt gets to that second round, we have them beating Duke. It's a little bit of a stretch. Shout out Shay Ralph. This one's for you, Shay. This one's for you, Kevin.
See, the UConn bias. The UConn bias just lives in all kinds of different ways.
Well, tell everybody the real deal when filling out these brackets. You'll be like, oh, should it be this team or that team? And I'm like, I don't know, that team. I know the assistant. Like, oh, should it be this team or that team? Like, oh, I don't know.
Almost
that
every
team.
team.
I used to play with so-and-so. Yeah.
I know that person. I know this person. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
So yeah. So I think I have Vanderbilt. We've got Vanderbilt beating Duke. We've got Oregon State, a 14 seed, but right now they're playing great. We've got them beating UNC in the first round. And there's a couple other upsets sprinkled in there. I think Tennessee's going to go potentially further than people might think because of the style of play. I don't think that's going to be an easy matchup for anyone who comes against them.
What about it? What about the style?
Well, I mean, we've talked about it on the pod. They just sub 5 in, 5 out constantly. And it's a frenetic pace. They're comfortable playing it. They wear you down. It's the NCAA tournament. People try to slow it down a little more, I think, in the NCAA tournament, but they make you play a certain way and it can be uncomfortable for teams. So I have my eye on that. You'll see when you guys check out our bracket. We've got some upsets in there. And usually the women's tournament doesn't have a ton. So
yeah, true. A lot more parity this year. We were just saying before we got on to record, we have a full weekend and we're really excited. This is going to be really fun. It does, to bring it in the couch. Yeah. To bring it back to the Christmas, it really does feel like such a treat. It feels like the world is just so much more ready for it. I feel like the sports environment is just like so much more ready for it. It's in the conversation so much. You have big stars. It's like everywhere you look on every bracket, on every team, you have big stars. So I'm excited to get it going.
Yeah, it's going to be great. All month long, Paramount Plus celebrates Women Who Move Mountains, a special collection of series and movies spotlighting remarkable women's stories and talents in front of and behind the camera. The collection includes the badasses who take on covert operations, deep space, and even the afterlife in hit originals Lioness, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and School Spirits. Watch Zoe Saldana, Rebecca Romaine, Peyton List, and more in the Women Who Move Mountains collection. Head to ParamountPlus.com to learn more about Women Who Move Mountains. And as you said, in our little candy store, the Unrivaled Championship also took place. So we're going to recap that real fast. Megan, what's your reaction to the winner? What's your reaction to Fee getting MVP, then getting knocked out? The Owls got knocked out in the semis. What you got?
Tough.
Yeah.
Honestly, the whole time, I've said this, I was just here for the dramas. I was here for the storylines. I thought it was actually great that the Owls got knocked out because it was feeling a little bit like inevitable. Fee was obviously the MVP, totally deserved. I don't think anyone else was even sort of like in the running for that. They were playing so well. And then just like, that's why you play the game. That's why you play sports. Yeah. I loved that. And I feel like it adds to Fee's scorched earth vibe right now.
Yeah.
Although she got a little bit scorched in the game. But I just feel like now going into the W season, it's just like another thing that is going to give her and the Minnesota Lynx a little, I don't know, motivation or chip on her shoulder or something. But I thought it was great.
Courtney Williams on the Owls too.
Yeah, I know.
She was
They're going to be pissed.
She was tweeting. She's like, man, that 50K was already spent. What am I do now?
Tough.
Yeah. She's going to have to find another way to pay for those Birkins.
Yeah, exactly. Chelsea Gray, amazing, obviously. I feel like came on really kind of more in the second half of the Unrivaled season.
It was like a slow kind of like progression increase. Yeah,
maybe the narrative more took off in the second half. Exciting, obviously going into the WNBA season, which we're sort of on the eve of. With her playing great, it's like, oh my god, if she's playing like that.
Yeah.
The Aces are going to be really good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they weren't already, but whoa.
Yeah, coming into Unrivaled, Chelsea was someone I had my eye on just given the last 12 months of her life, right? So she gets injured in the 2023 playoffs. She's dealing with that. The season starts. She misses essentially half of it, plays in the second half and the Olympics, but clearly just wasn't herself. And we talked about it. It's like, it's so difficult to come back from an injury in front of people. Because you have to get your rhythm back. In order to test yourself, ultimately you're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. And so to have to do that in front of people can be really, I think, mentally challenging. So to see her playing the way she is now, this setup 3-on-3, where a lot is required of you, I think was perfect for her to kind of get her, her swag back, her confidence back. And that's what I found interesting about the podium interview, where Taylor Rooks is like, what do you have to say to people? Obviously, she had mentioned already during the one-on-one tournament about people, I'm hearing the chatter, all that. But she kind of was just like, keep that same energy. Like she remembers who, wrote her off. What did you think about that interview?
Well, first of all, we're talking about the players, obviously, but sometimes I feel like Taylor showed her talent there where she was like, well, what do you want people to say about you now? I was like, oh, good one, Taylor. Way to bring that all.
And she was patient.
Yeah.
There was a good 10,
her team was
15 seconds of not a lot. Taylor could have rerouted. Yeah. She could have filled in the blanks. She just said, repeated it even. Well, what do you want to say?
Yeah. I thought that Chelsea didn't really want to answer that question. Yeah. She wasn't really here for that. And then her teammates and everybody was kind of in the back. She has said before, obviously she's hearing the chatter and you see it as a player. I think in general, she seems like a pretty even-keeled, humble type player. But I feel like, for a player that's done that much, it's really hard being injured and coming back, and you just alluded to it, but she came back mid-season, probably came back a little faster than she wanted to because of the Olympics. being thrown into like the most high pressure situation, which is the Olympics, and in your first games where you're like all of a sudden have to perform. And so you just like a little bit, anytime you have to come back from a major injury like that mid-season, you're always just like a little bit behind the 8 ball.
Well, also people are judging you. People are judging you. The outside is judging you based on your game when you're at 100%.
100%.
And they never take into account.
The best thing they've ever seen from you. That's where they're judging you.
Always,
rightfully so.
And this is a part this is a part of sports, but you know, it's not easy.
Yeah. So it's just, I always love like seeing players get their swag back and to like get back in form and like playing really well. And I thought she probably handled it the best she could. She was like, just didn't want to fan the flames too much, but was like, I hear you and I see you and keep that energy.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked
my
it.
body language read was like, I already spoke. Like I literally just dominated the semis, dropped 39. She actually didn't have like her best shooting night in the finals, but very quickly was able to adjust. What I saw very quickly was coming off the pick and rolls, finding her teammates. And, you know, Chelsea's the type where, you know, when she gets, you know, her handles going and she's rocking the defender, she can always get back kind of like over her right shoulder to that fadeaway, or she can get left, but they weren't really giving her that as easy. And so what'd she do? She just took it all the way to the rim going right. So she made these subtle adjustments. So what I saw was just someone like, I don't have to say anything. I just showed you. Like, what do you mean? You know?
Yeah. She's like,
which I can appreciate. And that already got me thinking about the WNBA season. But before we get to that, I did want to ask you a question. We got to circle back to Napheesa for a second.
Okay.
So you're Napheesa Collier. You were crowned the one-on-one champ, but you ultimately, you were number 1 seed, but you lost in the finals. For everyone, just a quick reminder, you get $200,000 if you win the one-on-one tournament. You get $50 per player if you win the championship. Would you rather have it be how it ended up for Fee, crowned one-on-one champ, lost in the semis, or would you rather the reverse? Basically, one-on-one champ or team champ?
I know.
Tough.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Do you want to be the best player on the worst team or?
No, they're not the worst team.
No. I want to win the championship.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to win the championship.
You're 150K.
It skews it a little bit. I know. It
poor.
Skews it a little bit because there was a lot of money on the line for the one-on-one. But God, maybe in this particular event, in this sporting event, maybe you take one-on-one because you're like, it is what it is. And I'm just, you know, richer for it. And now I'm going to the WNBA and do my thing. Okay, I'm going to go controversial. I'm going to take the one-on-one championship.
Okay.
Take the money. She got to spread some wealth. Maybe she can help Courtney out now. We don't know. Yeah. What about you? Team championship, for sure.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think you got to take the money in this scenario.
I know, right? Okay, maybe take the money.
I'm also like, I would never win the one-on-one championship. So I'm like, let me try to like put my energy where I might have some success.
Now that Unrivaled all said and done, we would take the money. That controversy's cleared up. What do you think the overall impact of Unrivaled has been on women's basketball in general? Probably more specifically on the W, but on women's basketball in general. Like, what if everything's done? We're heading into March Madness. Draft after that. W season starts so quickly. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I'll stick with the money. The first thing I thought when the Rose won, which again, shout out to the Rose for taking home the championship. Naz Hillman, who was an injury replacement player, as I'm sure everyone saw, Clea Copper was out, Angel Reese was out. Naz Hillman, I don't know, I'd have to quickly look up her WNBA contract, but it can't be that much, right? It's probably in the 70s. Not that that's terrible, but it's probably in the 70s. She just made a cool 50 in a couple games. So Unrivaled has definitely changed the landscape of the financials, right? And it reminds me of when Russia started taking off.
When the Russian team started paying a lot of money, it just immediately changed the landscape. All of a sudden, people's values are different. The competition of it all is different to get players. And so Unrivaled has now made its mark on the financial aspect of women's basketball, like full stop. Where that also comes to play is the marketing opportunities. I think because, and The Athletic did an article on this and they mentioned this, something we actually talked about when Unrivaled first started. They're not crippled, which is a strong word, but they're not crippled by the NBA WNBA partnership because that just limits things. There's just certain laws of the land that the WNBA has to follow. That makes it harder at times. Whereas Unrivaled, it's like, oh, Sephora, you want in? Let's go. Like, oh, Icy Hot, you want in? Come here. And so it just makes it a little bit different. I think these brands are now being exposed to these players in a different way as well. So that could potentially change things. I mean, just on quick scrolls on Instagram, you can see the different players doing, different brand spots on their socials. So I think that's been really great for the overall landscape. I think for players specifically, not just the financials, but, we just talked about Chelsea Gray. It gave her a great opportunity to play against the best, albeit in 3-on-3, but to play against the best, work on her game on the off days, and then go against the best, on game days. And that goes across the board. I think we saw a lot from a lot of different players. I'm actually interested as we get more WNBA players or Unrivaled players on the show. That's one of the questions I love. We were able to ask Kate and Tip when we had them on, back during NBA All-Star. It's like, who kind of changed your mind, right? Because when you play against somebody in that format, you get to see something different. So I think that helps players with their confidence, helps them with their game. They're going to be in amazing shape.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to hold on to this for a month. So hopefully they don't all go on vacation, like a 4-week vacation. But that's been, I think, that's been something that I think you'll see the WNBA benefit from. And then there's this free agency recruiting part where I think it's just changed things. These players are together now. They're talking. You're going to get to hear about other franchises. You're going to get to engage in conversations with the people you could potentially playing with. That does lead us a little bit to the Natasha Cloud trade. She was in a little bit of a different scenario because it wasn't a proper free agent. But I mean, listen, she played with Sabrina. She's in this little bubble, if you will, with Stewie. She now's got a little bit of a glimpse of what this New York Liberty life's going to be. So I think overall Unrivaled has changed a lot. The only thing they have to figure out outside looking in, I'm not talking necessarily business. I'm sure they have all kinds of things they want to tinker with to make it better, as they should. They got to figure out the injury part of it, right? They got to figure out how to navigate the injuries because, I had the laces early. They got hit by that injury bug. It kind of took them out a little bit. So that part they have to figure out, but otherwise it's great overall for the landscape. But yeah, back to that Natasha Cloud trade. She's going to New York. New York is sending, I think, their 7 pick from this year, first rounder for 2026. And now the New York Liberty, woof. They gonna be good. Yeah, I think that helps them a lot. Yeah, it helps them a lot.
Okay, coming out of Unrivaled, we're coming right back into the W season. Where's your excitement for the W? We were excited for Unrivaled, and it was a nice little supplementary piece while we didn't have the W, but give me a number.
So 2 things happen. A number, a level 10 Gyat. No.
You're so stupid. I mean,
one of these days, I am going to read. Yeah, obviously. One of these days, I'm going to have to read the text exchange that I have with my 9, soon-to-be 10-year-old niece and all the fucking slang she throws at me. I mean, I can't. She was like,
so weird.
Skibbity toilet level. You're a skibbity toilet level 10 Gyat, Ohio Riz. And I was just like,
so
what?
I'm good?
No,
it's
actually,
good?
I end up writing shit back to her. I was like, you're giving negative aura. She's like, no, you're negative aura. I was like, gotta get out of this. Anyways.
Okay, so
I'm very
Sue's
excited
level 10 Gyat about the WNBA
I'm
season.
level 10 Gyat. I'm super hype. I'll tell you why. It's already off the back of a great season last year, all the free agency, all the things we talked about.
when I saw Chelsea Gray doing what she was doing in these last couple of weeks of Unrivaled, specifically the playoffs, and then when I saw that Natasha Cloud trade, I was like, oh shit, because now we've already established Indiana made a ton of great moves to put them right at the tippy top. But with New York, they lost a couple of players. They lost Kayla Thornton, they lost Courtney Vandersloot, and yeah, they've brought, other pieces in, Isabel Harrison, but Natasha Cloud for their backcourt, it just gives them something different. She's going to be able to guard other teams' best players. She's going to be able to run the show. And I think it's really going to help Sabrina. So what they lost with Sloot and Kayla leaving, that was going to put a little more on Sabrina. And now Natasha can allow Sabrina to be herself. Stewie, for everyone that didn't see on her Instagram, did have surgery on her knee. So she was a little banged up and Unrivaled. So that's, we're going to get a different Stewie in the WNBA season. And then back to Chelsea Gray. Okay, so Chelsea playing like this, sadly for me, reminds me of the 2022 playoffs.
Oh, so sad. She was so fucking good.
I don't want to talk about it.
Did she miss a shot like the whole time?
She shot over 60%. If she had shot 57%, which would have broken a record, we would have won. And I'm not saying that lightly. She was
lights out.
Unbelievable. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing her get all that back. Obviously, they have to bring Jewel in, get acclimated there. There's going to be, they've got 4 Olympians and you got to find ways to make that all work. And that'll be Becky Hammond's challenge. But all of a sudden, Chelsea Gray at this level makes Vegas rise up to that higher level as well. So you've got New York, you've got Vegas, you've got Indiana. And then, oh, by the way, somehow Minnesota is not going to get talked about again. And it's just going to piss them off more. They're a finals team, literally a shot away from winning. And now they're going to be, forget it. Fees scorched earth, the whole team's going to be scorched earth again.
Yeah.
Because it's just all these other shiny things are going to get talked about. And then, of course, and this isn't a bias play, I think Seattle's right in that mix as well. They've got a lot of talent. They're another team. I don't think people are going to talk about them as much. So they'll fly under the radar just a little bit, and then you never know what could happen there. So I'm super hype. What about you?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this whole to stick with the candy shop. I'm just we're in Willy Wonka right now. Everything is totally kicking
wallpaper.
Off.
You're licking. I know you probably did. You see Willy Wonka?
Yeah. I mean, did I?
Did you?
Yeah, at some point, but I don't remember.
Was it a lick and it was a scratch and sniff or a lick situation on the wallpaper?
The blueberry thing?
Yeah, it was right before that part.
But yes, exactly. I'm very excited. I'm also very excited that the NWSL season
I know, let's bring in some soccer talk. Yeah. Let's bring in some soccer talk.
We had the season kickoff last weekend. Honestly, not a lot of surprises there. I honestly feel like one of the most interesting things that came out of opening weekend was Trinity Rodman's interview that she did with Ali Krieger for ESPN. We're going to tee it up and then we're going to talk about it.
Was there ever, in the back of your mind, a thought that, you would have a potential move overseas eventually?
Yeah, I've always thought about playing overseas at some point in my career. I think I would kick myself if I retired and hadn't done that. So it's just a matter of when, I think. But yeah, just focus on this year and we'll see what happens.
When the time's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if I'm the Washington Spirit, I am considering myself on high alert. I mean, I get it. I get the draw to...
Yeah, explain the draw.
The draw is Champions League mostly. That's just one of the main things that Europe has over, a European league would have over the NWSL. Because pound for pound, our teams are right there. The quality of play here, the parity, quality of facilities, the marketing machine, the business, all of it is, on par or if not better here. But it's really the Champions League. That's sort of the crown jewel of club soccer in the world for men and for women. So I feel like that is major. Also, I think the curiosity of living overseas and playing overseas and, some of the best teams are in some of the best cities, whether it's a Barcelona or, Arsenal or Chelsea, they're both in London. So I feel like that's a little bit of it also.
It's almost like the history of soccer pulls you guys in there. Yeah. That makes sense.
I think it is. It's like this story, this like nostalgic story about European soccer that we're all told. And, it's like the mecca of it all. So I think that's a big part of it. I also just think it's interesting. So I think that's why players say it with like such a, not a frivolousness, but just like a matter of factness of just like, oh yeah, eventually like I'm gonna be leaving my team eventually and going to another team. Like when you put it like that, it's like,
yeah,
that's
like,
why I said spirit ownership. Yeah. Spirit ownership, I feel like should be not on notice a little bit, but just knowing and watching that space, because I would be doing everything I possibly could to be having Trinity under contract, long contracts and lucrative contracts for a very long time. She's your best player. She's your most marketable player. I think also for the NWSL, to like be thinking about that, we've lost a couple of our best players to overseas. By no means all of them. And I don't think there's any like exodus happening, but yeah, if I was Michelle King, I would, do what I always do and get that checkbook out and just keep her exactly where she is.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So looking at opening weekend, any surprises?
Not really. And this is kind of what I've thought. I mean, Orlando absolutely smashed I guess the Stars now. They're not the Red Stars anymore. Absolutely smashed Chicago. I didn't think it was going to be like that, but Orlando's essentially returning, the same team. A year better. The only thing with Orlando is Marta's a year older, but they continue to surround her with really young, talented players that I think can compensate for her getting a little older. And then when she's on the ball, like she's just still always
Marta.
the best player. Yeah, still Marta, still the best. Kansas City off and running already. That was no surprise. Washington kind of eked out a win, but Croy Bethune wasn't playing. Trinity Rodman, only played very limited minutes. So I feel like that's a little bit like we need to just like let them develop and see. Every team kind of the same. My gals, the Reign, got a nice little tie. Obviously would have loved to see the win, but got a tie. Young Emery, she had a great goal. Lynn Williams wasn't playing yet. She's not fit yet. So that'll obviously help us tremendously. But yeah, I feel like it was kind of like par for the course a little bit. Portland, really going to struggle without Soph, obviously. Yeah. Chicago didn't have Mal, who's out for personal reasons. That's obviously going to help a ton. And then, yeah, every other team was just sort of a little bit expected. I mean, the season's so long, so we'll see how things play out. But I feel like those three teams are who I said were going to be at the top again in Kansas City and Orlando and Washington. And they're right there, seeming to pick up right where they left off. So,
yeah. And
no surprises.
Yeah. But on a different note, for Angel City, Sid LaRue put out a post that she's going to be taking some time away for mental health reasons. What were your thoughts there?
My thought, I mean, first and foremost, just, sending love to Sid and her family. And, just hoping that she's okay and taking the time that she needs, whatever's going on. My second thought was like, this is, not the first player to have done this. And I feel like there is precedent for this. And I'm happy that players are taking that. Like, you don't have to come out and say everything that's going on. It's just like, okay, I'm going through something and I need a little bit of time. I mean, I think sports is unique in that it just requires so much of you physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it. And I think taking, a step away to take care of yourself is the best thing that you can do. And I think just in general, we've seen this, whether it's, Simone Biles or Naomi Osaka or Kevin Love, now Sid LaRue, Crystal Dunn has taken a little bit of time away. Kristen Press has taken time away. Just the more acceptance for players taking care of their mental health and just a more open environment for this conversation. So I think that's, obviously on a personal level, I'm friends with Sid and I hope she's doing well and we're sending her all love. But I think it's great that it's the environment is such that players feel comfortable that they can take a leave like this.
Yeah. I mean, we always talk about it. A lot of people don't necessarily realize this, but sports is one of the few occupations, I might argue the only one, where you still have to go to work even when you're sick. There is no such thing as a call-in sick day. I'm just going to take a little time off. Even if you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't know, I have a scratchy throat, I can't leave the toilet, whatever it is, they'll be like, oh, come in.
Just come on in.
Just come on in. We'll check you out. Or you know
Come
what?
on in.
If you can watch practice, that would be great. We don't want you to miss anything. And a lot of people don't understand that of like over time can really, I don't know, it's limiting in what you think is acceptable. And so to your point, I think it is great that now a lot of people just go, oh, you need time? Take it. And it's not this big like hullabaloo about it.
Yeah. So sending lots of love to Sid. And hoping that you're feeling better soon. Support for this episode comes from Nike. When the world says no, athletes say yes. We win, we lead, we dominate, all while rewriting the rules of the sport and inspiring the world. Nike's So Win campaign showcases the power of audacious dreams and relentless pursuit. Let's check it out.
You can't be confident, so be confident. You can't challenge, so challenge. You can't dominate, so dominate. You can't flex, so flex. You can't fill a stadium, so fill that stadium. Whatever you do, you can't win. So win.
When have you faced a can't that felt really loud, but your drive and your work was louder?
I mean, basically my entire career as a professional athlete in this country. It's kind of a joke to say it, but I think the one moment or the one thing that I can point to is actually the CBA negotiation we went through most recently, which was 2020. We signed a new one. And for me personally, there was a lot of question marks around some of the ideas that we had as an executive committee, that we had as players. And it was that belief in that moment. I mean, people weren't literally saying you can't, but there was so much doubt around raising the max salary, around wanting certain benefits, about being a league that was going to set a blueprint, set a foundation for others to follow. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit the same. I think the equal pay fight for us was really kind of the biggest one. It was like that, and also having to be great on the field. So many people saying either we can't do it or we didn't deserve it or it was never going to get done. You know, seeing a commercial like this, I feel like our sort of legacy runs through it, and I can just be really proud. So really cool commercial. Love to be a part of it. Go to Nike.com to learn more and see their So Win collection.
All month long, Paramount Plus celebrates Women Who Move Mountains, a special collection of series and movies spotlighting remarkable women's stories and talents. The collection includes some of the biggest Showtime hit originals, including the highly anticipated new season of Yellow Jackets starring Melanie Lynskey and Christina Ricci, The Women in the Wall starring Ruth Wilson, and The Shy, created by Emmy Award winner Lena Waithe. Stream them all with the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan. Head to ParamountPlus.com to learn more about Women Who Move Mountains.
We have a fun intersection today. I'm really excited to talk about this. We mentioned it
because
at the
you're
top.
always here for the drama.
That
is the name. That is the name of Megan's bracket, the one we're doing with our friends. Here for the drama. Go ahead.
I'm just here for the drama.
Go ahead.
Okay. ESPN
Set it
recently did a segment on the top women's college basketball players of all time. And so I obviously and immediately just like, what do you think, Sue? Because what do I think? You know, what do I think? Well, let me see what Sue thinks. And then, yeah. And I just was like, well, who's yours, Sue? And so, Sue?
Well, do you want to
women's college basketball greatest of all time? This was ESPN's, and Ari Chambers was quoted by saying, "How can you have a top 5 player if you have not won a title?" So that is a fair, kind of fair.
We'll get to it.
Oh, you think it's not that fair? Okay.
No, it's not about fair. I think it's about opinion. It's all opinion.
True.
Let's just start by saying that. And everyone is entitled to theirs. Go ahead.
Yeah, very true. Okay, this was ESPN's. At number 5, Cheryl Miller. Number 4, Maya Moore. Number 3, Diana Taurasi. Number 2, Candace Parker. Number 1, Breonna Stewart.
I love how you did that in reverse order.
Yeah,
I didn't have a huge reaction to this. I think those are 5 amazing picks. You really can't go wrong. There's like 10 to 12 where it's really, you're probably not going to go wrong. But this idea of you can't be in the top 5 if you don't have a title, I actually don't subscribe to. I do in women's college basketball, especially, but I do believe in order to be number 1, you have to win. I do believe that. I think I'd be hell-bent in any sport to pick somebody number 1 who doesn't have a title. We actually talked about this when Jamel Hill was on, right? Just this idea of, and I do think what makes women's college basketball different, it's not that we have so many players who have won, it's that we've had so many players who have won multiple times, 2-time, 3-time, and a 4-time champ. So it's really hard not to put Stewie first for that reason. I could make an argument that Diana should be first, truly. But then you're just like, so my true top 5.
It's tough not to put Stewie first. She never lost a game, and she won 4 championships in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, what does being the greatest mean? Winning everything, literally, all the time. I mean, that's insane.
It's insane. It's really insane. Difficult. I mean, like I said, to me, it's either
almost
Stewie
weird.
or D.
It's almost weird.
Yeah. So to me, it's either Stewie or D. But yeah, so here's my top 5. Without further ado, I'm going to go Breonna Stewart first, Diana Taurasi second, Caitlin Clark third. This one at number 4, I cannot believe. Now, in fairness, I didn't watch the whole segment for ESPN. I didn't, I don't know if any other lists have been put out recently. I cannot believe people don't talk about Shamika Holtzclaw. So Shamika Holtzclaw is number 4. Honestly, if somebody came on this show right now and said, I think she's number 1, I don't know that I'd argue it. She's got 3 in a row. And when she played, she dominated. I think what ultimately happened to her was her pro career just had some bumps throughout, and she didn't play like a super long time. And so I think people just forget. I mean, the ways she dominated college basketball, the 4 years she played, exceptional. So she's number 4. And then number 5, this is the harder one. I'm going to go with Candace Parker, Charlotte Miller, Cheryl Swoops, Maya Moore. Have you heard of her? Do you know her?
Okay.
Do you know her?
I think I've heard of her.
Okay. So that's number 5.
I think I've heard of her. She sounds like she has a really complete game.
Yeah, that's number 5. You really no holes in that game. She can pretty much do it all. She's both, she's like
6'5", a one-man team.
And she's 6'5" and she's 6 foot. It's incredible. No, the number 5 spot.
You didn't want to
get
caught up there, did you?
No, the number 5 spot's hard. I think what's hard for me is I didn't see Cheryl Miller play. I've only seen highlights, and I know she'd be in the top 5. Like, she's probably a no-brainer in the top 5. But then it's like, I did see Maya Moore. I did see Candace Parker. I did see Cheryl Swoops. I also played with them, so I saw the greatness firsthand. So this 5th spot, it's probably a cop-out. I guess I'll go Candace Parker. But it's I could go Cheryl Miller. Actually, maybe I'm going to go Cheryl Miller. And then do I just write like apology letters to everybody else? This is impossible.
The gift baskets have to be sent out.
But just to touch on the Caitlin Clark of it all, listen, I think the way that I'm looking at this, no, Caitlin didn't win. It's why she's not number 1. I think going to the national championship game 2 years in a row, basically playing big in every big game, hitting every big shot in every big moment, there's something to that, clearly. Raising the level of your teams, there's something this kid is obviously special, definitely one of the greatest of all time. And I think when I really look at lists like this, it's kind of like, do you go based on just resume, or do you go based on, if we had a draft, who would you take? And there's no way you're not taking Caitlin Clark in the top 5. And to me, there's no way you're not taking her in the top 3. So, and that's not, a knock on anybody else. I just think that's the reality of it. What are your thoughts on my top 5?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
It's so hard to honestly, you know what is amazing about women's college basketball is that different to, I feel like, women's sports in general, that doesn't always get like the sort of privilege of having like this long history where there's so much, history and records and like all of it. Like women's college basketball just has like this rich history for so long that so many people remember. So it's cool to be able to go back and be like all of these modern players in with, some of the like historical greats and to be able to pick from all of them. I mean, I don't think I'm really qualified
You'll just sign off.
Yeah, I'm just signing off. But I feel like, I think Stewie's like to just like undisputed best women's college basketball player of all time. I'm not saying she's the best player, like there's a lot of great players that other players do different things, but I'm like, you never lost a game and you won every single game. And you were the best player on the best team every single year in this competition. So,
yeah. No, it's hard. It's hard not to pick her. Yeah. I mean, you just said it. It's the rich history. We haven't even talked about the run that Simone Augustus had at LSU. Went to, I think, 4 Final Fours. They never won it. But that's incredible. Same with Sylvia Fowles. I mean, the list of elite.
That's what I'm saying. The list is
elite talent is incredible. And that's why it's hard to pick. But if you got to pick, you just got to go with your gut. And this is my gut here.
You just got to do it.
Yeah.
You just got to get in there.
I mean, I didn't even really talk about Maya Moore. And then there's just so many.
I know. You could go on forever.
There's just so many. Yeah.
The Bicker of the week. It's the Bicker of the week. When your partner's being sleek, it's the Bicker of the week.
Yeah.
For this week's Bicker of the week, it does come from our time spent on vacation. And here is the situation. I am a little bit of a tanorexic in that whenever I'm around the sun, I just want to soak up. I can never get enough. I haven't been in it. I mean, my go-to yuck. I played in Seattle. I played in Russia. My vitamin D is low. This is not a surprise. So anytime I can get in the sun, I'm in it. It was time for me to flip, which I begrudgingly do.
I know you hate to flip. I never really flip either.
I'm so uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, my back hurts, my neck hurts. It's a whole thing. But I'm also like, but I want the sun on my front. This is where I see it,
Yeah.
So when it was time to flip, I try to give myself 30, 45 minutes a day. When it was time to flip, I asked dear Megan to put sunscreen on the back of my body. And she did. She put a little here, she put a little there. I laid out. Next morning, woke up, arm was an ouchie. And I said, Megan, and I had a strip of sunburn down the back of my arm. Probably like 1.5 inches thick, 5 inches long. Just boom. Megan, I think you missed a spot. And what did you say?
I said, you asked me to put sunscreen. You said, can you put sunscreen on my back?
No, I said the back.
You said my back. And I said,
whatever.
Yeah,
the
and
back.
I put it all over your back.
I likely said, can you get the back? Can you get the back? Like the back, the whole back of my body? Back of arm included?
I don't know.
Any skin you see when I turn around? Did my level 10 Gyat operator?
Yeah.
You were too focused on the level 10?
Yeah. You got all the way in the way. I mean, it's like, am I responsible for the whole back? The thing about the back is that that's the spot you can't get. You can get all of the other spots. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
You can get the back of your legs. You can get the back
back
of your arms. So and you're so on it with the sunscreen. I just figured I mean, I didn't even figure. I just feel like I heard
That's so they're
my back. And so I just got your back.
Then why'd you do my legs also?
Because then you were like, get my legs. See, you didn't say, get the back of my arm.
Oh my God.
So this is your fault.
Bicker of the week. It's the bicker of the week.
I know. I feel like you would never let a sliver of my arm go.
You know what? I'm going to leave this one. Because you know what? You ordered flour tortillas the whole trip. The whole trip.
Why though?
Mammers might have been like, corn? You got corn? You? Because it was a breakfast taco. You ordered flour tortillas.
Because we were in Mexico and they were elite. Remember I said, the American ones are the ones that I have the problem with. They're too
Anyways, this is when we're going to remind you all to subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment on this week's Bicker. Let us know what you think.
Call us 1-866-A-TOUCH-8. Let us know. Do you need to be specific with your language about the back or my back?
I'll tell you who doesn't have sunburn marks on their back or their arms or the back of their legs. Who's that, Megan?
That's me.
Yeah.
I know you would never.
Okay.
Thanks.
That brings us to A Touch More. For this week's A Touch More, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Cam and Brink talked about, which was the LA Sparks put out a little bit of an ad asking for male practice players to come on in, do a tryout so they could pick a squad. The comments on this post were just fucking, first of all, zero surprise. I'm not surprised by these comments at all. We meaning women's athletes, especially women's basketball players, because we do practice with men, have heard shit like this, like for eternity. For eternity. Oh, I hope she boxes me out. Oh, la, 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 like dumb shit like that. But Cam did talk about just how like disgusting and how gross. By the way, their pod, Straight to Cam, it's Cameron Brink, Sidel Curley. I think Sidel was like, yeah, they need to go through like an HR course. The good news is,
Literally.
The good news is this. Generally speaking, practice players are amazing. I would say 99% of the time, I've had wonderful experiences. You actually develop some pretty amazing relationships, friendships. They are number one supporters. They're going to be the ones at all the games. 9 times out of 10, those practice players are like a part of the championship. They're going to be even a part of like the championship parades. Like that's how connected you get to these guys. And they're so wonderful. They're so helpful. But yeah, sometimes there's fucking losers who get banned or have to get kicked off. No, it happens. Where they like, you know, something happened. I'll just keep it vague. But I was witness once to a practice player getting banned because they would not stop asking a player out. And it's just, come on, like
Get a clue.
Grow up. And I think, you know, Cam, for you, the good news is the ones that write those comments are generally fucking trash. They're not going to be at the tryouts. They're the ones
They're bad at basketball anyways.
Yeah, they're like, it's like the classic, they're sitting in their mom's basement, like, where's the meatloaf? Oh, let me write this dumb comment. So yeah, you're good. They're usually the bad players because good basketball players aren't fucking saying that shit. Maybe they're saying it behind closed doors, but not to us.
No.
So that's my A Touch More for the week.
Okay. My touch more for the week goes out to Mac Whitman, who became the youngest ever NWSL player. 14 years old. I tell you what.
Crazy.
I was not doing any of this at 14. Incredible. She came on in her debut in the opening game for Gotham FC. Sue's team. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how much she ends up playing this year, but just like incredible that a player this young is able to be at that level and to compete. And yeah, shout out to Mac Whitman. Welcome to the NWSL.
My 12-year-old niece was hype. First of all, she thought
it's like her classmate.
I know. She thought Mac was 13. So I feel like there was like an element of like, oh, this is like, is this possible? But I was like, oh, I think she's 14. She's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. I watched all of her highlights. She's amazing. So
love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's so cool. So congrats to Mac. We'll be watching and wishing you all the success this year. That's it for this episode, everybody. See you next week.
Paramount Plus celebrates Women Who Move Mountains, a special collection of series and movies spotlighting remarkable women's stories and talents. The collection includes all of your favorite leading ladies, including Academy Award-winning actresses Michelle Yeoh, Kathy Bates, and Helen Mirren. Watch Yeoh as Emperor Philippa Georgiou in Section 31, the newest addition to the Star Trek universe. Don't miss Bates in the reimagining of Matlock, and catch Mirren as she defends the Dutton legacy in the newest season of 1923. Head to ParamountPlus.com to learn more about Women Who Move Mountains.
Thanks to Nike for supporting A Touch More. March Madness is here. Don't make the mistake of missing out on the women's tournament this year, because this year's bracket is the one to watch. Nike's So Win campaign features athletes competing in this year's March Madness, as well as the NWSL, and we've loved sharing its message. It spotlights the power of an athlete mindset. How, when someone says you can't, you just do it. You just win. By sharing the unfiltered stories of Nike athletes, they hope to inspire a new generation to chase their own greatness and shatter the status quo. I know we'll be cheering them on from here. Go to Nike.com to learn more and see their So Win collection.